Hello everyone, this is Mr. O'Leary with a video on stoichiometry, or intro to stoichiometry. Now before you get all freaked out and start, getting up and screaming and everything else and your parents wonder what's going on, stoichiometry is not that bad. It's all it is. It's a branch of chemistry that deals with the relative quantities of reactants and products. Now, that sounds really hard, but it's not. All it means is the relative. All it means is the ratio between the coefficients in the reaction. So, I'd like to talk about referencing things to food, and I'm thinking of grilled cheese right now. So, if I take bread plus cheese, I get my grilled cheese sandwich. Well, how many pieces of bread do you need? You need 2 pieces of bread. And I like my grilled cheese sandwiches cheesy, so I'm going to use 3 pieces of cheese. So we're going to have one sandwich would be 2 bread and 3 cheese. Now, is this balanced? Yes, because I just balanced it for you. 2 bread, 3 cheese, 3 cheese. Now, what is the ratio between bread and my grilled cheese sandwich? Well, what's the coefficient? The coefficient for bread is 2. So I have 2 bread. What's my coefficient for a number of sandwiches I can make? For every 2 pieces of bread, I have 1 sandwich. So let's say, hypothetically, I had, 6 pieces of bread. How many sandwiches could I make? Well, you're all going to sit there and you already know it's going to be 3. But this is why. This is how you do it. 6 times 1 divided by 2 is 3. This way here, you can take any of the ratios because you know I'm a jerk and I'm going to give you numbers that aren't going to be so easy and whole. So here you go. So let's say hypothetically I had 10 pieces of bread. 10 times 1 divided by 2 is 5 sandwiches I could make. And it's just if I have 2 there and 1 there. I'm doing it in my head. But again, I'm not going to give you numbers to do it in your head. So if we take that away, now, what happens if I was talking about the ratio between bread and cheese? What's the coefficient of bread? The coefficient for bread is 2. What's the coefficient of cheese? 3. So I have a 2 to 3 ratio. This is a little bit harder. So if I were to say I had, let's say 4 pieces of bread, how many pieces of cheese do I need to be able to make enough sandwiches? Well, again, I do the same thing, and 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. I would need 6 pieces of cheese. And again, you can simplify this very easily, cut that in half to 2, that to half to 3, and I'm still at my 2 to 3 ratio, and that's what our goal is. So if I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do this backwards, and I said, okay, now I have, let's say, 12 pieces of cheese. Well, 12 times 3 is 24. 12 times 2 is 24. Divided by 3 is 8. I would need 8 pieces of bread. So again, if I wanted to check my work just to make sure I'm right, I'm lazy, so I'm just going to cut it in half to 4 to 6 and 2 to 3, half again, and I know I'm right. I'm still at my 2 to 3 ratio. That's all stoichiometry is. It's not that bad. So let's say I have, 8.5 pieces of bread. Now let's say we have 9 pieces of bread. Let's put this back over here. No! Alright, everybody, so let's say I have 9 pieces of bread. No, you guys are smart. You guys know that I'm not going to have enough to make to react fully with the cheese. But how many do I have? How many do I need? So let's put our ratio down first. How many will it? Because I'm not going to give you whole numbers. So we're at a 2 to 3 ratio. And I said 9 here. So how many do I need here? How many pieces of cheese is that going to make? So if I look here, we have a 9 times 3, which is 27, divided by 2, which is 13.5. 13.5. Easy enough, right? Now, let's say I still have my 2 to 3 ratio, and I said I have, let's say 21 pieces of cheese. It's the way it works. You don't know. You're not going to sit there and say, I'm going to buy it in the specific amounts. So how many pieces of bread do I need? So let's pull up our calculator to make this easy for us. Let me get it out of the way, sorry. So we know it's going to be 21 times 2. So divided by 3. And that's 14. So that's 14. Oh, it's an even number. Well, then I know I need 14 pieces of bread, and then I can go to the grocery store and I can buy what I need in the amounts I need so I don't run out. So what happens if I had, let's just do an arbitrary number. Ooh, I like, let's say, 100.5. I had 100.5 pieces of cheese. So if I have one, turn your phone off. If I have 100.5 of cheese, that is times 2 divided by trace. So that's going to be 67. So it's going. Told you to turn it off. 67. Sorry, guys. That's going to be 67 pieces of bread. And you go the other way, and you can, just to make sure you work, you can do 67 times 3 divided by 2, and that is 100.5. So that's it. That's all it is. So let me see. If we were, now that's just between those two. Why were those two? Because that's between bread and cheese, because that's what I asked you. So now if I wanted to know between cheese and sandwiches, the cheese has a coefficient of 3, and sandwiches have a coefficient of 1. So it's 3 to 1. So if I gave you 10 pieces of cheese, how many sandwiches can we make? So it's simply 10 times 1, which is 10, divided by 3, which is 3.3 repeating. So I can make 3.33 repeating. And it's the same way if we go backwards with it. So let's go backwards with it. So let's say I want to make, this is probably more apt to the way you do it. I've got a bunch of people coming over. I want to make 11 sandwiches. So if I want to make 11 sandwiches, I have, 11 times 3 divided by 1. Oops, I need 33. I need 33 pieces of cheese. And that's what a chemist will do it. They'll say, I need this much of a product. And then they'll go backwards and try to figure out how much reactants they need, what reactants you need. And it's just the same thing. You're not going to sit there and buy 100 pieces of cheese and only buy 10 slices of bread, because you have a whole bunch of cheese left over. And that's what chemists want. Chemicals are expensive, and they want to have the appropriate amounts. So that's the next step in stoichiometry for you guys. It's not that. It just builds on what we've already done of going from moles to grams, or moles to number, or atoms, or we went from grams to mole back to number. And this is just setting in and adding the ratio between them. I'll post up some practice problems and obviously ask some questions, and we will go from there. Everybody have a great day, stay safe, and bye.